Hello everybody. So this video today will talk about the proper way to do exposures or reaction videos, because here recently, a lot of people keep getting in trouble because of doing it the wrong way. So I thought I would make a video about how to do reaction and exposure videos the proper way, because contrary to what a lot of people believe, YouTube does not care if a person does a reaction video. In fact, they encourage it. They want it because it brings attention to their platform, as long as it's done the right way. And YouTube, as a content creator, will give you the guidelines that you must follow in order to do it the proper way. So that way you do not be in danger of getting a copyright claim or a copyright strike. And let's remember, if you get 3 copyright strike, your channel is in danger of being deactivated. It's in danger of you never being able to get back on the platform. It is endangered not just for that particular channel, but any channel associated with your main account, because what people don't realize with YouTube is you're only able to have one AdSense account. That's it. And that one AdSense account connects everything that you got going on within YouTube. Now, there's a little bit of discrepancy about how many channels you can actually have on YouTube. I found you can have 100, then I found you can have 50, then I found you can actually have 500 if you're connected within some type of brand deal or brand connect deal. Now, whether or not which one of those are actually true, or if all of them are true based off of the circumstances. Whenever you get striked on your channel, it will affect all your channels that you have connected to the AdSense account if you are a monetized channel, or if you ever have been a monetized channel, because some people have been monetized and then have been demonetized. That is a thing. Now, a lot of these content creators on this platform, they use it as a way to try to get people to come watch their videos when really they're not demonetized. It was just something they needed to do. But that is a real thing, y'all. So unfortunately, like I keep saying, this platform is so full with so many lies and misconception about what actually happens on this platform. Okay, but I wanted to make this video because I keep getting messages inquiring about what happened to Carter's channel that he did. Now, as far as I was concerned, I thought he just changed the channel. And far as everything that happened with me and him, the interaction, I'm sure y'all know about that or whatever. And hopefully y'all watched the video that we did at Clones TV, where we all talked it out and found out what the whole issue was. Now, I will say this, like I've said before, with everything that we do, there comes consequences. Even if you're doing the right thing, there will be times where you may still have to face consequences if whatever you did was not correct, or if your opinion wasn't correct, if your assumption was correct, which is basically your opinion, or if you did something that you wasn't supposed to do, even if you yourself was misled. It is what it is. We have to take accountability, and we must face the consequences of our actions, point blank, period. So I mean, for people assuming that I had something to do with Carter being taken off of this platform, I mean, y'all, I keep telling y'all, if y'all want to know something, just simply ask me. Stop beating around the bush. I'm not that type of person. I will come straight at it, the situation. If you want to you want to know something, just ask me. And, if you want to see if I'm aware of something, just ask that too. I mean, you don't have to hint at things with me. I'm not like that. I'm a person that will literally let you know whatever it is that you're asking for, as long as it's not some type of personal information of mine that could hurt my identity, because there is identity theft out there, right? And since we're going to say there is identity theft, let's hit on the first thing you should not do on this platform. And that is put people's personal information on the platform. Now, I know y'all seen where he had did what was called doxing, and at the time, I didn't even know that was even a term. But I know that, you know, he was trying to, in his eyes, he was trying to help out someone because they presented a story to him the incorrect way. And if you watch the live, then you heard how they all went down. But regardless if you're trying to help somebody or not, you have to still do things the correct way. You can't just go flying off the handle and be, you know, putting people's personal information on the platform, nor can you just be making up bogus stories, because this is where the disconnect come in with the reaction and review channels. What you talk about have to be facts. And if you're not really sure about what you're saying, you just throw in, I assume, I think, or maybe, or this is why I feel. Because the thing about that is you can't be held liable for just your opinion. Everybody has an opinion and everybody has a right to one. Now, whether or not your opinion is actually fact is a different thing. But when you present things as fact, then you run the risk that if you are not correct about that fact, it can come bite you in your behind. So the fact that, you know, multiple people are coming to me trying to see whether or not I had anything to do with as far as having him physically removed. And once again, I understand that. I made a video warning him prior to us having that conversation. So I know why it looks like, you know, well, maybe it's her. Let's find out if it's her. Well, this simply axes at me. Right? So when all this stuff was happening on YouTube, I did warn. And like I tell everybody, I try to be fair. I try to look at things from all perspectives. So therefore, I try to give warnings before I take action on anything. And I did. I gave multiple warnings to Carter when all this stuff was going on. I tried to go in his live and warn him. I did videos trying to warn him. You know, I talked to him more like a mother would talk to a child, because I kept saying that I see him as I can't unsee him as my son. Not that I think he's my son, but he's around my son's age, okay? So those were all warning videos of what could have happened. Now, in the midst of all this, before Carter gave me an opportunity to really explain what had happened, because he only had one side of the story, and I kept really saying that, the story is kind of one-sided. You know, even it's one-sided with you telling the people, and it's one-sided with her telling you. So let's get it open so that the dialogue can be open. Everybody can see what's going on. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. Now, I made it in my video. I said the information that he had on this platform was my business information and people that were connected to me through my business, right? It was not my personal information on this platform, other than the personal information that I myself put on the not just the platform, but other platforms as well. So therefore, when you do that, people, it becomes public information, right? But you can't take people's personal public information and try to harass them, bully them, make up stories that isn't true. Once you set something like that in motion, unfortunately, the repercussions of it, if the person you're doing it to take action, can come back and bite you in your behind. It's just what it is, right? But so Carter found out the truth about what actually happened later that night. Now, what I could remove from the platform, I did remove from the platform, because I didn't want anybody through my eyes to see him as someone that was attacking me or whatever. Now, I did leave one short up that was talking about a strong black man. I left that up because it didn't say any names on that video, but it did address something that all strong young black men, or strong black men period, need to hear and be aware of, because that's how you lead. And so therefore I left that short up there. Now, the information that was placed on this platform that wasn't mine did belong to people, right? Some people I did not know, but it did belong to people. So what action happened because of Carter broadcasting people's information out there. Well, it is what it is on that note. And then once you set a legal, I keep telling y'all, I don't handle stuff. I don't do stuff the wrong way. I try not to. And when it comes down to stuff like this, I let the law handle what it is. And I keep telling y'all that, I have various ways and access to the law. I myself is handling a case where I'm assisting someone with a case right now. So therefore, like every day, I will not be able to come on this platform and make a video, but when I can, Lord knows I will, because I enjoy doing what I do on here. So I know what it might look like, but no, it's not a direct thing, not with me. Well, I'm not gonna say it's not a direct thing with what happened with what he did with me. And then what I kind of saw that was happening with another content creator, Didi, because I was actually in his live that morning when he started it, and I made a comment on live. One of my viewers actually made a comment too that I recognized on that live, and he was basically trying to discourage him from doing what he was about to do. And I think he said something to him, and he left out of the live. He just wasn't going to be in there. Right before they had their conversation, I did write something on the live, and I just said, do it the correct way, so that way it will stick. Hoping that based off of your last issue when it came to me, that we all took accountability. In fact, I did a video about accountability, and we learned from our mistakes. But apparently that didn't happen, because as the video kept going, some things were said, and I was like, it's time for me to go. One, it was time for me to go for one of two reasons. I'm not going to sit around and condone wrongdoing. I'm not going to do that. Two, I had a viewer that was in the live, and they were a little bit shocked that I was in his live. So I wanted to go address my viewer that saw me on the live, what actually had happened. Three, when I did that, I tried to come back to his live, because I'm just curious, did he go forth with it? I didn't know if he was actually going to do what he was talking about doing on his thing. But when I went back to the video was private, and I could not get into the video because I myself was not subscribed to his channel. So my first assumption was he made it private for his subscribers only. And so therefore I just went about my business and just let that go. But unfortunately, when you set things in motion, especially when you're harming or throwing stray bullets out there, and you're not even hitting the person that you're trying to hit, but you're hitting people around that particular person, or you're hitting people that person don't even first know, right? That can come with consequences. That all in itself can come with consequences if what you're doing is wrong. So, to all out there that wanted to know, well, did I do this? Did I do that? When I make my videos, I'm not giving you no made up mess. I'm giving you facts, okay? Even down to when I said, I know who Carter is, all right? I do know who Carter is. And he's not the person he portrays himself to be on this platform. When I made the video, I was speaking like a mother to a child, like someone who, just was concerned about someone overall. Because one thing about me y'all all should realize is, regardless of if I'm doing exposure videos or not, my exposure videos are different from other people's exposure. We don't share the same tactics. I don't do them the same way. My exposure videos have always and will always be structured the same way. It's, for one, to bring awareness to the multitude that may not be aware of what's going on. Two, to offer a solution to the problem that is happening. And then three, to try to give the person that is doing the wrong a way of turning the thing around. So my exposure will be awareness, but at the same time, it will be encouragement. It will offer a way out. I will help you on the legal tactics of everything. So when I said I know who he is, I do know who he is. I know exactly who he is. But how wrong would I be for putting that out there? Now, I just made it aware that I'm aware of who he is, but would I actually put someone's personal information out on the platform? Absolutely not. I would not do that to anybody. I don't care if that person is coming at me or anybody else. I'm not going to do that. When I did my exposure video on DD, what I shared was business information that is public information. So if you just did the research, you would find it yourself. And I also did not disclose business information that was for a valid business. That business had since closed. Because here's the thing, even if I did find out something, if it was a valid business, I got two reasons as to why I wouldn't do it if I'm doing something such as an exposure. One being, good or bad news is going to promote someone regardless of the fact. In fact, when this whole thing was going on, I got a lot of subscribers out of it. So to me, I'm looking at it, hey, thank you for the advertisement. I don't even worry about this crap because I know it ain't true, right? But what I had to look at on my end was some of it was valid information for other people, even though it wasn't valid information for me. So I had to do what I had to do to try to get that removed off of there for the people that are connected to me. And then they too did what they had to do in order to get their personal information off of this platform. Now, my warning came in to where if you continued, then I already know who you are, and I will contact law enforcement in your city, because by the way, I know exactly where his city is. I know his true identity, so I have the means of doing whatever I needed to do, but my stance will always be warn people and give people a chance, especially if they don't really know what's going on. And as far as I was concerned, he really didn't have the full picture because he was doing a lot of stuff one-sided. Now, when you continue to do the same thing, even after you learn from your error that some things, you just shouldn't do, or it's just not right, then that's on you. I mean, I'm not here to save everybody. I'm here to bring awareness. We're adults. We all have to face the consequences of our actions. But yeah, so that's where that had spanned off on. And unfortunately, there was another thing done on DD, and I don't agree with that because I don't think you should call people's apartment complex or make up false. I don't believe in that. I don't think that's right. You don't do it. You don't do it. And it falls within the guideline. It falls within YouTube strict behind policies that they have. That's something they don't tolerate doing, y'all. So when you're doing exposure videos, you have to do it the correct way. When doing exposure videos, you do your research. You learn all you can about the person that you're doing the research first before you speak on. That's the first thing you need to do. So that way it'll keep you out of a lot of stuff. And when doing research, especially if you're going to use the YouTube platform, it is wise to watch the video intently. You must watch it for details and signs that you see on the videos in order for you to be able to speak on. I do not encourage anybody to do a reaction video or exposure video unless you have watched whatever it is that you're talking about and then research really what you are speaking on. So that way everything is facts, and structure it so that way it is your opinion, because you cannot be held accountable for your opinion. Don't speak of it as if it's fact versus an opinion. And then you also need to follow the guidelines. The guidelines are, you have to alter whatever, if you're using people's videos, you have to alter that in order to recreate what they put out there. So therefore it is no longer theirs, it is yours, because you have changed something about that video. Disclaimer. And you also need a Fair Use Act statement on all your reaction videos. That way you sort of cover yourself as well. So make sure you don't miss those two things. And they need to be on the description of the actual video. Again, that is a disclaimer statement for your channel or your name, however you're branding yourself, as well as a Fair Use Act statement on the video that you're doing. You can talk about certain things, but you cannot do it in a harassing or threatening tone. So you cannot talk about people, about stuff that they have no control over, whether or not it's their race, their disability, the way they look. You know, if they did something to themselves, that's not something that they didn't have control over. That's something that they did. And then you're giving your opinion about how you feel about it. If you put it out there, then you leave yourself open to scrutiny across this platform. If somebody wants to comment on it, you can't fault somebody for their opinion. But what you should not do is do it in a manner where you yourself are bullying, where you are harassing, where you are putting people's personal information out there to where you can cause them harm. Because this platform is also full with a lot of different characters and personalities. You don't know what people is. Some people follow people so religiously, like they put them on a high pedestal that if they feel like this person is against them, the leader of all, I'm going to destroy whoever it is. And sometimes that destroy meaning unaliving people, y'all. Okay. Sometimes that destroying means getting people fired from their job. Sometimes that destroying means getting people kicked out of wherever they're living at. Sometimes destroying people is throwing personal information about that person that they don't have absolutely no control over. So you have to take accountability for what you're doing and know when to stop. Okay, now here's a little thing about this, people. We also have to take accountability as viewers as what makes sense and what does not make sense. Okay, so if a person is portraying like they're in law enforcement, then they should also be carrying things that will not affect their career path or their choice. And if someone is in law enforcement, they're not going to be breaking the law in front of millions of people on a platform that could come back and bite them to where they lose their job. They're just not going to do it. And if they do it, they're going to do it a slick way, not just right out in the open, because you're going to make people work to try to bring you down. You're not going to just deliver yourself on the altar. You're just not going to do that if that's your intent. So we have to be a little bit wise when it comes to some of the information that is coming across this platform. Is it valid information or isn't it valid information? And then if you yourself is not willing to go find out whether or not it is, then I would really say be careful with what you put on here, because some of the actions that was done out of this whole ordeal, not just him, but other people involved, especially with a person such as myself who do extensive research and have the capability of finding out who anybody is. You don't need to do that, because once you know, they know. So, and they can do whatever they need to do in order to rectify the situation. So you don't do that. Don't do that. And unfortunately, you know, I hope this now opens this young man's eyes, and he continue, you know, if he comes back, he continue to do exposures. Because I will say this, once he start doing things the correct way, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with, because he does have the ability, if he does it right, to obtain the information he needs in order to bring awareness to the platform. But once you get that information, you have to be cautious of how you deliver that information, and don't just be saying stuff just for views and subscriptions and likes and stuff like that. You can't do that. But I will say, once he finally gets it together and he does do it the correct way, the ones that are out there doing the wrong thing, y'all better hopefully he don't get a wind of what you're doing. Because I do believe, even though I know a lot of that is just a facade, I do believe with some of the things that he has learned, and some of the people who have helped him. And like I said, you better be careful, because just like his information is discovered, so is yours. But so just do it the right way. And that's kind of how I left that live. I was just saying, you need to do it. If you're going to do something, do it correct, so that way it sticks, And unfortunately, last night when I finally was able to get settled down, because I had some personal stuff on top of other stuff that I'm handling that I had to deal with yesterday. So I wasn't able to record, and then I only got so whenever I can't record, I try to support. So I was supporting people by watching their videos. And then even when I am recording, I'm supporting other people. So, but when I can't record, I dedicate the rest of my time to giving out support to those that support me, and then finding other people I can support. That's just who I am. But when I came back later that night and I saw everything that was happening, I was like, whoa, and it was brought to my attention by people questioning, did I know anything about it? Did I kind of trying to find out whether or not I had anything to do with it? Did I know what happened to his channel? And look, this is not my platform. So far as YouTube, I have no control over what they take and what they do not take away. But once reports are made, so for all those out there, once reports are made on you, it is in the best interest of YouTube to do what is going to be beneficial for their platform. If they do not, then they themselves put themselves in a position where they can get in trouble. So, no, this platform is not going to risk their business for any of us on this platform. Their main interest will always be themselves. They will look out for you to the best of their ability, but at the end of the day, they're going to protect their investment in their business. So we have to be wise about the way you're presenting this stuff. You have to be wise on how you're handling stuff and what you're putting out there. You just got to, okay? And base everything on the truth. The last thing I saw was the private sign on his video. I was under the assumption, like I said, that if you wasn't subscribed to him, then you couldn't see it because he had privated. That's what I thought, until I started seeing all these comments, until I was going into the people's lives that were talking about it, until I started watching videos that was making videos about it and their assumption. Y'all, I really personally, from my observation, I don't think it's one thing over the other. I think it was a collection of a lot of different things that led up to YouTube just finally taking action and removing it. But Carter is a wise young, I'm going to say can be a wise young man, but he's very knowledgeable about a lot of stuff. So if he wanted to get back on his platform, I'm sure he can figure out a way to do that. But once you do, you got to do it the right way. So that way you don't keep getting knocked off. You don't keep losing access to your channels. You don't keep getting yourself in a situation unnecessarily. You can get the information out there that, as long as it's valid, without keep putting yourself in jeopardy. That is not beneficial to nobody. Just because you know how to get the views back, don't mean, but what could you have been if you didn't have to start over? So you got to start thinking like that. You got to start thinking about long term and just instead of just the here and now and trying to entertain. I have said this so many times on my platform. There's people come here for one or two reasons. They either coming here to be educated or they're coming here to be entertained. They either trying to suck up knowledge or they're trying to enjoy themselves. And the best of the best, as far as content creation, creators learn how to merge the two and offer the both worlds. And then you will find yourself getting a lot of engagement, getting a lot of views, getting a lot of subscribers. And just because you don't have that at this point, as you're learning this and you're applying this stuff to your platform, eventually you'll get there. So you don't have to use anybody to blow yourself up on this channel. And hey, y'all, contrary to what a lot of people believe, going viral isn't necessarily a good thing. And I'll probably cover that as well on another video. But I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. As always, be your brothers and your sisters keeper. Keep God first. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you in the comment section and on the videos and on the lives. And as always, toodles.